On August 13th, 1984, in Blackfoot, Idaho, two best friends who were 12 years old ventured into an old abandoned house that was close to the farm they both lived on. When they didn't return home that night, their families and neighbors went searching for them. One of them was found 16 hours later in the abandoned house in the dark, floored basement. He was found standing up, facing the wall, whispering something incomprehensible over and over again. His hair had turned white, and he would not speak when spoken to. For many years after, he never uttered a word. His parents eventually sent him to live in an assisted living center for youth to see if he could get help. He finally spoke one morning, 10 years later, telling the terrifying story of what happened in that basement to the nurses at the assisted living center. Any names used in this story have been changed at the family's request. Ryan and I had been best friends since kindergarten. He was born and raised on the farm we lived on, but my family moved into the area when I was 4 years old. We were both the same age, so it was inevitable we'd become best friends. We didn't start things off right, though. I remember punching him in the face the first time I met him. He had taken something of my sister's and refused to give it back, which led to me giving him a bloody lip. He went home crying to his mum. Then we became the best of friends until the incident. That day started out like so many other countless summer days. We literally lived 20 yards from each other, so we'd eat breakfast and then meet outside in the backyard to decide what we were going to do that day. It never crossed our young minds that something far more sinister was lurking in the dark in the basement of one of those old abandoned houses in the area. I remember meeting Ryan outside fairly early that day, I'd say around 8 a.m. I asked him what he wanted to do, and he said, "Let's go down to one of the streams and catch some frogs." Of course, I wholeheartedly agreed, so off we went. On the way to the stream, though, we'd have to walk past one of the abandoned houses. This one in particular had always given us the creeps, and we'd always avoided it like the plague. As we were walking down the dirt path, talking about random things, we started walking past the abandoned house when suddenly we heard the voice of a little girl saying, "Help me! Help me! I'm trapped down here in the basement! Please help me!" Ryan and I immediately froze in place, looking at each other with our mouths wide open. Neither one of us could believe what we just heard. We stood there for a bit before the girl spoke again, saying, "Help me! Please help me!" I was the first one to speak up and said, "What if it really is a little girl trapped down there? What else could it be?" "I don't know, man. I don't like it. We know everyone around here, and she doesn't sound like anyone we know. What would a little girl her age be doing down in the basement of that house anyway?" responded Ryan. "True, but we can't just do nothing. Let's take a quick look, and we can always leave to go get help," I said. "Fine, man, but I don't like it," said Ryan. We both mustered up what little courage we had and started slowly creeping over to the house, tiptoeing as we went. As we got within touching distance of the abandoned house, we again heard the little girl. "Are you coming? Please come help me." I'll never forget the sheer river of fear that shot up my back. The hairs on my arms were like needles standing straight up. The front door was all but gone, so we walked up the steps and stuck our heads inside. The place smelled horrible. It's a smell that's never left my nose. As we stood there in the doorway, the girl again spoke. This time her voice was calmer than before, and it didn't seem right. "I know you're there. Come help me. I'm down here." That was it for me. As I was about to turn around and leave, saying to Ryan, "Let's go," he suddenly jumped up and ran for the stairs that led to the basement. I yelled at him, "Ryan, come back! What are you doing?" He didn't stop and quickly ran down into the basement. At this point, I was shaking badly with fear, and my knees were wobbling uncontrollably. I thought I was going to faint or fall over. I stood there thinking about what I should do. I knew I couldn't turn and leave my best friend there, but I was also the most scared I've ever been in my life. I made the decision to go into the basement to get my friend, no matter how scared I was. He was like my brother. As I slowly walked inside the house, the wooden floors creaked and moaned as I headed towards the stairs that led to the dark basement. When I got to the top of the stairs, I took a deep breath and slowly started stepping down each step. As I proceeded down the stairs, I called out Ryan's name in a low voice, but he didn't answer. I stopped on the last step before having to turn the corner. At that point, I was shaking so bad, I was worried I might urinate my pants. I noticed that as I was walking down the stairs, the horrid smell got worse and worse the closer I got to the bottom. I took another deep breath to try and relax myself, and right as I was about to turn the corner, I heard a crunching noise. This made me pause and think, what could that be? As I slowly turned the corner, I could see the basement was very dark and hard to see anything. The only light was a tiny sliver coming through the ceiling between the floorboards up above. I was about to take another step forward when something on the ceiling made me stop dead in my tracks. I looked up and saw a large black creature holding Ryan's lifeless, bloodied body. I could see blood as it dripped from the creature's mouth. I didn't have time to think as I screamed out Ryan's name. The creature looked over and hissed at me, then suddenly turned and moved swiftly across the ceiling over to the corner of the basement and scurried into a hole. The next thing I remember was waking up, staring at the wall, and somebody shaking me as they said my name. I tried speaking, but nothing came out. Until today, it was like I was looking through a mask. It was like being trapped inside of my own body. In my mind, I was shouting, but no words would come out. Suddenly this morning, when I woke up, everything was back to normal. I could speak, and my eyes seemed normal. It wasn't like looking through a mask anymore. I remember over the years people around me talking about how they searched for Ryan for months, but could never find him. No one ever mentioned the hole in the basement, and I'm not sure if the house is still even there. When I get out of this place, I'm planning on going back to search for my friend, and I won't stop until I find him. Subscribe our channel for more scary stories.